So, did you guys know that the last three games the Bills have played, dating back to last season, the quarterback that started against them will have not started the following game for that team, and that might be a bit of a stretch. But dating back to last year, Week 17 against the Dolphins, Ryan Tannehill started that game. Ryan Fitzpatrick started the next game for the Dolphins, Week 1 this year, who are a complete disaster, by the way. Maybe up there for the worst team of all time. That remains to be seen. They still have 14 games to go. But, if their over-under on their win total was 1.5, what would you do? Would you take the under? You might. You're getting 0-1, and do they look like they're going to win more than one game? No way. But I suppose anything is possible if they catch Luke Falk or something. Speaking of Luke Falk, Sam Darnold started last week against the Bills, or Week 1 against the Bills, and because of mono, he didn't start Week 2 against the Browns. And, it's not performance-based necessarily, but it happened. And Week 2, the Bills played the Giants. Eli Manning loses his job to Daniel Jones heading into Week 3. So that's kind of interesting. Is there any chance that the same thing happens to Andy Dalton? Probably not, but if you're like the Bengals, you got to be kind of getting sick of Andy Dalton at this point, don't you? We'll talk about that in a little bit. I do want to reflect a little bit on the Bills game Sunday. Obviously, the Bills beat the Giants 28-14 in a game that, statistically, I feel like looked pretty close. I think that the Giants maybe are just going to do that a lot this year, where they didn't get blown out in yardage. I feel like last week against Dallas, they allowed a lot of yards, but they put up a lot of passing yards and whatnot, and they have Barkley, who's a tremendous player, obviously. And they were outgained on Sunday by the Bills by 18 yards, 388 to 370. Granted, 48 of those yards came for free on the last drive where they were down by 14 points. But that seems like maybe the Giants' MO, although they're going to Eli Manning now, or they're going away from Eli Manning and on to Daniel Jones. So it has to be done if you're them. I'm sure they appreciate Eli Manning. I even as a Bills fan appreciate Eli Manning for beating the Patriots 2 times in the Super Bowl. Those were fun to watch. Obviously, I was rooting for them at that point, but it's time to move on. You don't want to continue. You're not winning games with Eli Manning right now, and you're not going to win them with him for very much longer if you play him. So just move on. Daniel Jones was drafted 6 overall. Whether he was good enough to be there, whatever. I don't want to make this a Giants video, obviously, but I harped on the Giants a little bit last week, thinking that while I don't agree necessarily with the GM on a lot of the things that they do, like getting Jabril Peppers for Odell Beckham was a joke to me. They got a first round pick, which is great, but Minka Fitzpatrick is now going for a first round pick, which for the Steelers, what are you doing? You might be very bad. I don't know. You're showing your players that, but you might be bad. But I guess if you're the GM and you think your job's on the line, you might not have that pick, so go for it. There's a couple ways of thinking there. I digress. Sorry. The Bills, it looked relatively simple for them on Sunday. I know that they got walked on the first drive, on all running plays. Barkley running nuts. Benny Fowler on an end around. Okay, 7-0 Giants. Wow. Okay, we're in a hole quick, but they were in the hole pretty quick last week against the Jets. They threw the pick 6 on their second possession, I believe, and it was the first play of the second possession. So, and they were trailing most of the game. This past Sunday they came back and built a 21-7 lead, and it looked relatively simple. So now you're sitting there at 2-0, and you haven't played a home game yet. You really have a really good look at a season here. Am I telling you that they're going to compete with New England for the division? No, I'm really not. Do I think that they have a chance to? Of course, sure, maybe. New England comes here in 2 weeks, and the Bills tend to play them pretty good once. So maybe that'll be that. I don't know that they'll beat them. I probably won't pick them to beat them, but who knows, right? Obviously, you want to take it one game at a time, not overlook the Bengals, but as fans, how can you not? I mean, we're fans of the team. We're not on the team. We don't have to play the game. We can look ahead. I don't see what the problem is with that. And, fans want to be, I think, 3-0 heading into that game. You're a story. I talked about this last week. You're a story for 3-0 heading into New England, and they're probably also 3-0 because they're playing Luke Falk on Sunday. So that would be something. That would be fun. And then I'm going to Nashville the week after. So I would love to be 3-1 going down to Nashville. That would be I would love to be 4-0, and 3-1 would still be a ton of fun. But again, getting a little bit ahead of myself. It's just you go 4-4 on the road, 6-2 at home, and you're a 500 or you're a 10-6 team. You're a 10-win team. 500 on the road, and you're already 2-0 on the road. So if you go 2-4 on the road from here on out and 6-2 at home, you're still winning 10 games. That's the good thing to me. Even if they play 500 ball the rest of the way, they're still 9-7, and they still have the Dolphins twice. They get the Jets again at home. They get the Broncos at home. They get the Steelers without Ben on the road, but okay. I'm sure I'm missing somebody. They get the Redskins at home. Like, there's winnable games there. You could see them taking some of those. The Tennessee game, I feel like, might be really, really huge for them, because if you break down the AFC, it's looking like New England, Buffalo. I mean, the Jets are maybe starting at 0-6 here, and the Dolphins, forget about it. You're like New England, Buffalo, Baltimore, Cleveland maybe. They haven't looked like world beaters by any means, but I think they'll be good. They won 7 games last year, so I assume that they'll do at least that this year. That might be stupid, but I think they're a decent team. Pittsburgh probably falling out of it. Cincinnati doesn't look good. Then you got Houston and Tennessee probably. Although Indy's lurking there, I suppose. They would be like the 9th team to me, but yeah, I don't know. And then obviously the Chiefs and the Chargers. So that's like 8, maybe 9 teams battling for 6 spots, and the Bills are one of them. And I know that kind of reverts you back to the whole in the hunt thing, which the Bills are always in, have been for years, but have only played, 2 meaningful Week 17 games since 1999, really. So, or since, the 2000 season. But I mean, you gotta look at it. Like, I'm impressed with, obviously, the youth in Singletary, the free agent additions in Beasley and John Brown. John Brown, unbelievable. Like, put him on the Wall of Fame. He's heading straight for the Wall of Fame. The guy is, like, he's not just a field stretcher. Like, the guy is getting open across the middle and stuff. And he's out his quarterback, coming back to Allen. And Allen, I mean, has Allen looked like the best quarterback in the league? No, but on some plays he does. And it's, like, interesting how, like, what was the one play? The third down play to Brown. Third down, it's 21-14. The Giants have just come back into the game. It's third down. And Allen drops back, is getting a ton of pressure, fakes inside, shakes the defensive end, falls out of his socks, rolls back around. If he stays there, stays flat-footed, that defensive end is going to sack him. He's not going to get out up the middle. But he shakes the defensive end, wraps it around towards the sideline, and finds John Brown coming back to him. That is a big boy play. That is like a best quarterback in the league type of play. Now, Josh Allen is not the best quarterback in the league. Might never be. But if you're getting plays like that consistently, you're like, there's no reason they can't compete. If Josh Allen is middle tier quarterback this year, just this year, we don't even have to look ahead to next year where it'll growth, whatever. If he's a middle tier quarterback this year, the way the defense is playing, and the way that, the help he's getting from his receivers that he wasn't getting last year, this could very easily be a playoff team. So right now they're only 2-0. They're heading into Week 3, the home opener, finally, against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are, let me revert back to what I said in the first minute or two of the video. They got to be getting sick of Andy Dalton by now, right? I mean, they're not. What are you? What are you really gearing towards? I think if you're Zach Taylor, the new head coach there, you have to, at least after this year, you have to think about drafting a quarterback, because you might not be good. You're looking at, you're 0-2 right now, I mean, so what do we think they're maybe angling towards? 6-10, I'm guessing, but they might have to look at drafting another quarterback next year in the top 10 or 12. I don't think they're going to be bad enough for Tua, unfortunately. They were pretty good week 1 actually against Seattle. They threw up 429 yards of offense, only allowed 233, and still lost the game. They turned the ball over 3 times. That hurts. And then this is kind of like Jekyll and Hyde act between the first 2 weeks. They come back to the home opener against San Francisco, who didn't look great by any means against Tampa Bay in week 1, and they just get wrecked. They allow 572 yards, 27 first downs, 259 yards rushing. Oh! So, if you're the Bills and you're at home in your home opener, that's the kind of team you're hoping to see, obviously. The team that lost 41 points to like Jimmy Garoppolo and Matt Breida and Marquise Goodwin and Raheem Mostert, and like these are not household names by any means. These are like decent players. And you have decent players of your own. You're pretty good on defense in your own right. So this should be a game you have a pretty good look at winning. I think if you play this game 5 times, the Bills win at 4 at least. Vegas says they're 6-point favorites. That makes sense to me. That's a little bit better than the standard 3 that you get. So beat the Bengals. Really, that's my point. The Bengals are 29th in total defense. Obviously, like these numbers are a little inflated because it's only been 2 weeks, but they're 29th in total defense in terms of points, and 21st in points scored. They haven't scored more than 20 just yet. They're 11th in yards, but they're scoring a lot of. They got that garbage time touchdown to John Ross last week for 66 yards. John Ross leads the NFL in receiving yards, and I think that's even a little misleading because even while he might be a good player, the guy's got world-class speed. Obviously, set the 40 record and the at the NFL at the scouting combine. I think Tyler Boyd has been the more consistent receiver for them. He's catching more of his targets. John Ross still only catching like 55% of his targets. He's just averaging 24.5 yards per catch, and that's not realistic to keep up. I think Boyd has been, while he hasn't scored, been more consistent, more reliable of a target for Andy Dalton. They haven't been able to run the ball at all, literally at all. They have 59 yards rushing on the season on 33 carries. It's pathetic how bad they are at running the ball. And their guard, Michael Jordan, that's just his name, is probably out, so they got to plug Billy Price back in there, who is not good. He was a first-round pick, I believe, for them, but is not a good player. So they're still without. They got to put Andre Smith, I believe, back in there at left tackle because Cordy Glenn is gone, or hurt with a concussion. A.J. Green's obviously not playing. So they're banged up on offense. They're not successful running the football. They have a new coach, a new system they're still trying to get adjusted to. They're on the road, again, in a team's home opener against a team that's 2-0. I like the Bills in this game, guys. I think that, honestly, they're just a better team than the Bengals. You're just better than them. I think I might have even said that last week against the Giants. You're just a better team than them, and you are winning this game, like I said, like 4 out of 5 times, maybe even more. So I like the Bills to beat the Bengals on Sunday. I'm going to say I saw 28 points from the Bills. I'm seeing the Bills 100% in the red zone, 100% touchdowns in the red zone. My man Reed Ferguson drawing the penalty last week to sort of seal it, even though they would have went up 2 scores anyway, but they get the ball back and score a touchdown with Frank Gore, so that was cool. I'm going to pick the Bills. Sorry, didn't mean to get away. I like Reed. That's my guy. I like the Bills to beat the Bengals on Sunday. The Bengals looks like they're good for about 17-20, so let's say I give them a 10-point win, 27-17. How do we feel about that? All right. Guys, as always, thanks for coming this far in the video. Thanks for your loyalty. I appreciate all the comments that I get. Please leave me one or hit me up on Twitter. My Twitter handle is the same as my YouTube username, so you can find me on there. I try to talk to everybody. And honestly, I know I've said this a bunch of times, but like I just can't believe the way that like this channel is. I consider it taking off. 300 to 500 views a week, that's taking off to me. You guys are upvoting me. I appreciate it all. If you're going to the home opener, have a good time. You know where to find your boy. Some of you do. So you know where to look, wave. Have a good weekend, as always, above all else, go Bills.